Hello folks, Todd Halleck here. Getting ready for Christmas next week and New Year's right after that. It's hard to believe another year is almost in the books, and wanted to talk to you about planning for uncertain times. We live in a great moment of uncertainty as it relates to planning, both business planning and estate planning. Recently, a federal district court in Texas has put in place a preliminary injunction that stays enforcement of the Corporate Transparency Act. That's a law that has been on the books since 2019 and was signed by then President Trump. It went into effect at the beginning of this year, 2024, and it requires that businesses, unless they fall within one of the exemptions, file what's called a beneficial ownership information report. And for businesses that existed on or before January 1st of this year, that report is due by December 31st. So just in a little over a week, that report will be required to have been filed. And if you don't file in a timely manner, there's penalties of approximately $500 per day. And potentially more, depending on the circumstances. So there's some serious repercussions if you don't file. Well, earlier this month, this district court in Texas said, no, federal government, you can't enforce that, and we're going to issue what's called a preliminary injunction that's going to be effective nationwide and prevent the enforcement of this act. And so therefore now, at this point, filing these beneficial ownership information reports is voluntary. I should also add that for any entities that were created this year, those entities have 90 days from the date of notice of the acceptance of their certificate of organization or whatever document in that state goes to organizing a company to file the report. And then starting on January 1st of next year, the reporting time will be 30 days from receipt of that notice. So it's getting increasingly shorter the amount of time that people have to provide and file that report. So we get this district court case that says now we don't have to file, or at least that they can't enforce filing. And FinCEN, which is the government department that enforces this Corporate Transparency Act, has said, okay, well, you can continue to file if you want to, but we're suspending enforcement. But now they have filed an emergency appeal of this decision, and the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in this case has fast-tracked this, and it could be that on or about December 27th, we find out that, oh, by the way, you do have to file by January 1st after all. So very uncertain. And so what should you do? If you have not filed, or if you are going to choose not to file because of this injunction, you really need to be paying close attention to the news that's coming out about this, so that if this injunction gets lifted at some point in time, that you can get filed immediately. So make sure you're still collecting the information you will need to get that filed. If you're one of those companies that needs to file by the end of this year, that may leave you with just 2 or 3 days to be able to know that this report needs to be filed again and get it filed. So pay close attention, get all the stuff together. The other bit of uncertainty remains the estate tax exemption. As of December 31st of 2025, the current law, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, will expire if it's not been extended or made permanent. I think there's a general belief that now that we have a situation where we have Republicans in controlling both the Senate and the House and the Oval Office, that they will try to extend that legislation, which was one of then President Trump's signature pieces of legislation during his first term of office, and that they will try to, in fact, extend that. And once in future, President Trump has indicated that he will, in fact, try to make that permanent. That is highly unlikely that he will be able to make that permanent, to make that law permanent, he would need a 60 vote majority in the Senate, and the votes just don't seem to be there for that. So it will likely be extended, and what I'm hearing is for a few years. So what does that mean for you? We were all gearing up that we would be dealing potentially with the sunset of that law, and that we would be dealing with potentially a lower exemption, about, instead of roughly $14 million per person, we might have $14 million for a couple combined that could be exempt from estate taxes. Should you keep doing it? Again, you got to be paying attention, because I think it is less than certain that law will get extended. I think there are other factors that could come into play that limit the ability of the Republicans to do what they're hoping to do by the end of the year. If you're over, if you're into the our current exemption, like I say, is going to be roughly 28 million for a couple, or if you've got a spouse that's predeceased you, whatever their exemption was that you may have ported over, plus whatever yours ends up being, if you're going to exceed that already, then definitely get in and do the planning, because you're going to have a hard time finding planners with time to deal with this stuff. We are already looking at limiting who we help with these situations to just our existing clients, and not taking on anybody new to assist with those types of estates. So get with someone quick so that you can be looking at that. If you're in that sort of in-between category where you're over the 14 but you're under the 28, I think a wait-and-see approach may be advisable. Maybe getting the documents in place so that as we get to the end of the year, you could fund those quickly if needs be with the gifts. But don't expect that you're going to be able to start this process in November or December of next year and find anybody who's going to be available to help you. It's just probably not going to be the case. So when you're planning in uncertain times, you have to plan in for that uncertainty. And sometimes that means putting in place things that you ultimately determine not to go forward with if the circumstances evolve in a way that makes that unnecessary. But you want to be prepared in the event the evolution goes the other direction and makes that necessary, and you're not caught sitting on your hands. So it's uncertain times. As a planner, I would like nothing better than to be able to just tell people, hey, this is the way it's going to be, and this is the way it's going to be for the rest of our lives. But that just doesn't seem to be the world we live in anymore. And so it does mean, because of that uncertainty, you need to plan that into your planning. And so I hope you have a great Christmas. I hope you have a great New Year. And if, like I say, those BOI reports, pay attention to what's going on, because you just don't know when that's going to change. Same thing with the tax law. If you don't have an advisor, start working on getting your team together so they can help you. Again, hope you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Happy holidays for others who may not be celebrating those, and we sure appreciate all of you, and thank you for watching.